How to save Halo Infinite according to you. And well, me too. Earlier this month, we got word that Microsoft was changing up the management inside of 343. Some long-term executives have now left the company, and a shakeup has occurred as Microsoft tries to realign what is 343 doing with Halo Infinite and how to turn that ship around. And so on Twitter last week, or maybe it was the week before, I asked you all, how would you save Halo Infinite? And well, there were a ton of replies, some tenable, some not tenable. And well, I dug through all of your content. I dug through what 343 has written and done over the years and tried to bring it all together into a narrative that I think that 343 could follow, potentially to try to save what is Halo Infinite, because let's be honest, things aren't exactly going well, and we know that for a fact based on the moves that Microsoft is making. So putting it all together, bringing it all in-house, let's sort of talk about how Halo Infinite, can they turn the ship around, or, what is the future? So let's just dive in here. So it's no secret, like I said, that things have changed. And so going through the list that everybody, sent over on Twitter, there was a lot of things that just didn't really make sense. Some people said they should make a new Halo Wars game. I don't know how that's going to save Infinite. Remake Halo 3. Fire everyone. And my personal favorite, Brad, delete your account. So a lot of things were just riffraff that were never going to make sense. But if we go back through the 343 narrative that we have been following for like 5-6 years at this point, I think we can actually pinpoint where things started to go wrong. And you can do this by just reading their blog post, with hindsight being, rose-tinted glasses and 20/20 vision looking backwards. Because we know that 343 knows how to ship a game. They know how to scope a game. We also know that they didn't have a funding problem and that Microsoft was throwing lots and lots of cash at them. And we heard lots of different ways about how they were spending it, everything from TV shows to too many contractors to everything else. And so I think the question kind of boils down to is, what was different with Halo Infinite? Did they scope it too wide? Were they too ambitious? Did they want to build too many features for the product and realistically just what Halo could actually handle? And I think the scope actually outlined that, hey, what we were trying to do, the product can't handle. So what did they do? They said, well, we need to go upgrade our engine known as Slipspace. And they actually announced the Slipspace engine back at E3 in 2018. Everybody will remember this demo. Actually, I remember it very well because I believe I was the one that leaked the name right before this event that I thought it was going to be called Halo Infinity and ended up calling it Halo Infinite. But either way, Microsoft and 343 showed off this video of the Slipspace engine, and it generated a ton of hype because look at the visuals. Remember, this is 2018. This is years before development. And 343 was actually quite candid in their blog post when they were talking about this. Back then, this is what they wrote about Slipspace at E3, or I should say after E3 2018. The Slipspace engine demo at E3 2018 briefing is the culmination of years of work and infused with the passion of hundreds of people here at 343 Industries. When we started this project, the team's vision for this game was ambitious, so much so that we knew we had to build new tech to fully realize our goals for Halo Infinite. The E3 demo showcases some of the exciting potential of this technology. Everything you see is running in engine. We still have a long way to go until we ship the game, so things will certainly evolve between now and the release of Halo Infinite, though the engine demo is a clear indication of that direction that we are heading with our next great game, and that is pretty much kind of summing that up. So I personally believe that Slipspace engine was a huge mistake, and that was the Achilles heel that basically ruined Halo Infinite. They had to go back to the drawing board, or at least outline some new technology to build the vision that they were talking about. And to put all that together required Slipspace. And at this point in E3, they've already said years of work. And if that's where they were at E3 2018 and they weren't starting to truly build the game other than that fancy demo, the writing was already on the wall that they were never going to hit their deadlines. Which brings up a really honest question. 343 has said, hey, we've put in tons of work to Slipspace. We put in all this effort. It is the culmination, using their own words here, to get something that we know is today. Here's a very honest question for you, dear reader, or listener, I should say, video viewer. Is Halo Infinite visually and materially better than Halo 5 that I'm showing here on display? I don't know if it really is, because the question becomes, if the answer to that is no, it's really not, then was it worth the effort to build out Slipspace to get all that stuff that they claim was going to make it better, when we know at the end of the day it really did not make it better? Like, if you look at Halo 5 here, the features and functionality in this game, yes, there are improvements in Halo Infinite, there's no question about that. But is it that much better than what you're seeing here in Halo 5? Would it have been better to just stick with what Halo 5 had offered and build around that model, rather than basically sucking up a lot of resources? Building out engine technology is not for the faint of heart. It is very serious work, not to mention you're trying to build a title on top of it in parallel, which makes it incredibly difficult. And what was the result? Well, the result was an engine and game that didn't quite launch in right capacity. Now, granted, this video you're watching here is from the beta, but it's still hilarious to kind of show some of the bugs and everything else. I'll be curious to see the comments on this about if you actually think that it was truly worth the effort. Now, getting aside from me thinking that Slipspace was probably the Achilles heel that really bunged up Halo Infinite, if I were in charge of 343 and I was given a clean slate to come in and deploy resources how I felt necessary. Now, a lot of people had good ideas. I absolutely believe there were a lot of good ideas, including getting rid of contractors. Now, that's not always easier said than done. A lot of people said, hey, give it to another studio. Let me tell you, that is not really possible. Like, you can't just pick up Halo Infinite, give it to another developer, and expect them to onboard. That'll take years and it will delay things significantly. Realistically, it's a management issue for 343 or for Halo Infinite, not so much a developer problem at this point. Everyone else was really mentioning, like, hey, you kind of need to just shift priorities and focus on certain things. And in distilling them down, I think it comes back to a couple things. Now, the first thing I'm going to say here is probably a little controversial. Give up on the campaign. At this point, the game has shipped. It is already out in the market. The campaign is there. Get co-op out and then be done, and never put $1 more into it, because at this point, what are you going to get for it? Clearly, it's not coming out. What needs to happen is, and again, a little controversial here, cancel the next seasons. Cancel everything that was going to ship. Maybe save some cosmetics. And put those out. Cancel everything and line up for a refresh or another soft launch here in October. Now, not just saying just push everything to there. That will give you more time to actually drop meaningful seasons, get content in a row. And let's be clear, Halo Infinite, I cannot imagine right now, is just drawing in hundreds of millions of dollars, where doing something like this would just break the bank for Halo Infinite. It's already in a bad state. Let's try to clean the slate a little bit here. Push everything to October and put every other dollar available into Forge. I truly and fundamentally believe that if Halo Infinite is going to survive, and you can look at things like No Man's Sky, there's a lot of other games that have had rough launches that have been able to survive, and a lot of it comes back to creator economies. Microsoft has an opportunity with 343 and Forge to actually make Halo Infinite into something. Every single dollar has to go into Forge, and it has to launch on time with every single feature possible to allow creators to actually add content to Halo Infinite. That has been the biggest drought in the product, and Halo Infinite since launch has been a lack of content. Well, with Forge, it opens up that door to a creator economy and allows that to happen. And Forge, in my opinion, is the only thing that can save Halo Infinite right now. And if it ships poorly or not on time, then Halo Infinite better just start, setting off into the sun, because I think at that point it's starting to fall away. And Forge is a very big deal. It's a very big deal. And it's also creatively complex from a development perspective. When you open the door to a sandbox environment from a development perspective, people are naturally going to try to break the game. Naturally, they're going to push the bounds of what is possible. How many things you can put onto the display. How many frames can you suck out of the Series X and S engine. It's really complex. And I understand that. But it's the only thing, in my opinion, that can actually save Halo Infinite. And by getting a creator economy moving, that is what kept Minecraft moving along. It's what makes Roblox so successful. And this is the only chance that Halo Infinite has left. Because let's be honest, I don't think multiplayer is going to carry it forward. Even if they get the seasons all lined up and have great, beautiful seasons, yes, they will pull people back, like myself included. But right now, they have a history of not being able to deliver meaningful and sizable seasonal content on a cadence that makes sense for the gamer industry. Right now, every gamer basically expects a new title or a new content drop every 3 to 4 months, something like that. And Halo Infinite is not living up to that expectation. So the only way they can do that is let's cancel the seasons. Let's get a soft reboot about a year from now with Forge in full capacity, with an economy online that makes sense for creators, with seasonal content lined up for the next 6 to 18 months at minimum. At minimum has to be 6 to 18 months. And 6 months is cutting it slim, because then you're in the rat race again for trying to get things out the door. But that is how I think 343 and Microsoft and Halo Infinite can survive. It's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be easy to come out and say, look, the campaign's done, shove it out the door. We're not touching it again. It's not going to be easy to come out and say, look, the seasonal content, what we're going to be shipping isn't going to do anything meaningful for the product. Let's cancel them and soft boot in 2023. So it's dicey. It's a tough call, and I totally get why they wouldn't do any of this. Now, Forge is already happening. The seasonal content has already been announced, but who cares? At this point, if Halo Infinite comes out and says, you know what, we're going to do this, we're actually going to take Brad's plan, take it to heart, and we're going to go to market with this. Is anybody really going to blame them at this point? Everybody knows that the launch has not gone well. Everybody knows that Halo Infinite is not in a healthy place or a healthy state at this time. By them taking, the brunt of it and saying, like, look, we recognize that we're not hitting our marks, and so we are going to recalibrate. We hope you enjoy the contents there. We're going to make things free, and we're just going to, do a little bit of write-off on the financial books at Microsoft, and this is how we're going to reboot the program, because Microsoft has to be looking at Halo Infinite from a longer horizon. Is this game supposed to be a 5-year title, a 3-year title, or a 10-year title? Well, a 10-year title can be a thing. I mean, look at Destiny, for example. That is truly the market that Microsoft wanted to go after with Halo Infinite, but we all know that didn't shake out. So if they're looking at a longer horizon, they're going to have to take some more pain up front to truly stabilize the product. It took No Man's Sky a long time to get there. And if Microsoft is going to do it, they have to make some tough decisions today. I think Forge is the future. I think better seasonal content has to happen, but it's not necessarily the future of the company. Make Forge, and you've got a fighting chance. So if you want to stay updated on everything else that's happening in the world of Xbox, including Halo Infinite, make sure to keep it subscribed here, because the only BS on this channel is me.